So we were talking about Traffic Dead Ahead, correct?
No.
Oh, no.
So let's do a recap. Ready?
Recap
on
time.
last week's episode. I don't want to wait for my love to be.
Pacey finally banged his teacher. Dawson realizes that Katie Holmes is going to end up marrying Tom Cruise.
I don't like Scientology.
So we moved on from Traffic Dead Ahead.
Which we gave a 14.
We gave it a 14%, which I'm glad that it scored lower than Batman vs. Superman, because that is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty bad. Yes, I agree.
It's another one of those. I want to mention back to Zack Snyder, as I said before.
Yeah.
You take some of the Batman movie parts, so you take the Batman parts away and you put them together, and they weren't bad. I will admit that Ben Affleck probably gave some of his best acting in a long time in this movie, which is hard to say.
It's not Ben Affleck that's the issue, which is a compliment
Which is
to Ben
crazy.
Affleck. It's everything else. But when you have a movie that you invest 2 hours in and none of it is really good, and then at the end you have them finally fighting, and then you have them going,
Martha!
Martha! That's my mom's name! That's how you know you have a really shitty movie.
That's his mother's name. Leave him alone, you big bully. I was
horrible.
When I saw that scene, I looked over at Lewis and I'm like, Lewis, I'm going to fucking leave this theater. Lewis, by the way, is the biggest Superman fan. So we had this sort of like weird back and forth connection throughout the film where I'd look over at him for the Batman scenes. He'd look over at me at the Superman scenes.
And as a Superman fan, did he like it?
No.
Okay,
No.
well, there you go.
And I'll tell you this, when we watched Man of Steel, he looked at it and he's like, I'm probably going to have to give that one another watch and reassess it. And I was like, it's garbage. The only good part that I thought was Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon was a beast. He was a great, but it was one of those, you weigh it on that great actor, and that's it.
Michael Shannon's great. He's always good in everything. But Man of Steel, I got to tell you, Zack Snyder, I'm going to tip my hat to him because it's the one movie where it's a 40-minute fight scene, and he managed to make it so goddamn boring.
I mean, I will just say that he is really good at making hot dumpster trash. That's it.
And for, what's her name? Superman's mom, Diane.
Oh, no, not Diane Keaton. What's her name? Her actual name is Diane.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh, it is. Oh, then maybe hold on.
Diane Lane?
Yeah.
Is it Diane Lane? She's in the movie.
Diane Lane.
Yeah.
Diane Lane, if you are listening, God knows you're not. You're very hot. Even at 50, 60 years old.
Yeah, and you did a good job in the movie that sucked. I'm sorry to hear that, but you know.
I would still.
She had a good career, so
yeah.
She didn't lose anything.
She's not dead, but
she has a good career. I apologize. Martha? I mean, Diane Lane, I apologize. Martha!
But anyway, so we're mostly Ryan, but now we go to Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Hallowed Be Thy Name is the redemption film of our series, which is a good follow-up into our synopsis. A redemption film in the Zaccheo Stewart Productions. Hallowed Be Thy Name provides a interesting look into possession and exorcism and what happens when family is involved in the process. Boom.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, my review, my one-all review of it would be creepy visuals.
Yeah.
Complemented by pretty solid acting and an interesting story.
Yeah.
Make for a cool little spooky short film.
Yeah, I will say the acting for me in it was hard. Simply put, because it's one of those things like I'm used to doing the funny humory.
Yeah.
Humor acting is pretty easy. You just kind of be stupid, and it makes you feel more relaxed because you're just being silly. But when you're told, you're like, all right, make a very serious face, and then you need to express that when you speak. For me, I'm just like, I'll say something, and when I say it, it'll come out very fucking stupid. And then,
but in Hallowed Be Thy Name, it works.
Hallowed Be Thy Name, it was a testament to practice, I guess, because we probably, I don't even remember how many takes we did for certain scenes, but I remember it wasn't crazily ungrueling.
No,
So.
Hallowed Be Thy Name was one of those films where it was. I don't know if there was an overall hype for it. I think it was one of those movies where it's like, listen, we already did the work for it.
Yeah.
Fuck it, let's do it. And it's a horror movie, let's just do it.
Yeah.
I don't think there was it's weird to say this. I don't think it was an overall excitement to do it as much so as it was like, I know we can do it.
Yeah.
And I think we can make something, a little film. I think we could do a little decent film out of it.
And back to what we were talking about before, it wasn't as structured as we did with Traffic Dead Ahead, but we still managed.
But we
to
still
put
have
something...
pictures and stuff, storyboards and
yeah,
stuff.
We had a loose idea, and we would come up with things on the fly. But once I think that's another thing that I forgot to say before. We would often come up with things on the fly, but it's not a matter of, all right, we have something on the fly and then we just run with it.
Right.
We'd have something on the fly and then we'd take that little small thing and we'd start to structure it.
Right.
So like simple as just like the scene where I hear noises as I'm sitting on the sitting at the computer.
Yeah.
Which I know you don't really like that scene because
I don't like that
it
scene.
falls cheesy. I've watched it again and it does. But we took that little minor thing and we expanded it quickly, but we decided, all right, let's take that and let's build it to something else. So
Yeah. And I think my favorite scene in that, and I know you'll tell the story. My favorite scene in that is the church stuff.
I was actually thinking about that earlier. It's like, we will leave the church anonymous, but it's not hard to find to figure out where we filmed.
No, we totally lied to a priest. Excuse me, I lied to a priest.
I backed up his lie. I nodded and agreed. So I think we're both in a sin, as they say.
Well, we basically told the priest. So we came in with a camera, and the priest said,
Well, wait. We didn't.
Sure.
We came in and we were like, all right, how are we gonna do this? We were kind of like hashing it out before we walked in. We walked in, and I think we spoke to like one of the assistants to the priest. And
yes.
then
I guess
she set us up like a scene out of The Godfather at a wedding. She set us up into the room where the priest was sitting down at his desk.
Holy shit, you're right.
We sat down in his room, and he's looking at us like we're crazy, but at the same time, he was kind of like, not that he was intrigued.
He was
but
very
he was kind
open
of,
to us.
He was curious, and he didn't want to stomp on our creativity.
Yeah.
Which I have to give him credit for.
Very nice man.
Easily. Yeah.
Actually, very nice man.
The only restriction he gave us, he's just like, he just said leave it at a couple pictures and that's it, right? I think
He
to that
said
extent, I think
only pictures, no video, and I
only
said
pictures,
no video. and
within 2 minutes from that time, the camera was rolling.
we were rolling. But I will say, no one bothered us.
Nope.
We were in there pretty quick. We weren't overstaying our welcome.
However,
we were told that we can't stay too long because there was a funeral happening, and we were.
And I think a few people were a little early to the funeral.
As you would watch the movie, when Damien enters the church for the first time, and I pan up, there's people sitting in the pews. That was for a funeral that was actually happening. I feel till today, I do feel terrible.
I'm not gonna lie, it does make me feel a little bad.
Yeah,
but it adds to a realism that we weren't even going for, that we managed to take on.
The unintentional background actor.
It's like Damien already seems random and creepy inside of a church, and now random people that are sitting down are staring at him. So it works.
And I try to credit the church, and Damien goes, "Don't do that. That's a bad idea."
It's like they're just gonna flag us, and then they're gonna picket our yards, and then they're gonna tell us that we're sinners and we're going to hell. So,
but Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's probably, I don't know if it's one of my favorite. I don't know if I said it before. I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but I do like it a lot, and I know your niece likes it a lot.
Yeah. My niece is like obsessed with it and puts it on. But I think there's a slight bias because we're related, obviously, but also because she sees me in it and she sees my brother in it. Mm-hmm. So
that's right, your brother's in it.
But
and a really good scene too, I think.
I think it's biased and not because, like, she tells me that she loves it. It's not just because we're in it. She's scared by it. One of my nieces didn't want to watch it. She did one of those sort of like, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna look away kind of scenarios.
And this is coming
to it, but
a group of kids who know horror really well.
Yeah, they've seen more shit that I didn't put them onto. Like,
right.
With the exception of the Child's Play movies, I gave him a box set that I probably shouldn't have.
But when I actually met them for the first time, they were like, we were going back and forth on horror characters and villains and all that. They were very knowledgeable when it came to that stuff. So obviously they've been exposed to it. So the fact that these kids are enjoying this movie and they find it creepy is a really good. It's a good
testament to what we put together. So.
Yeah. And so what would you rate a Hallowed?
I think I would give it a flat 80. Flat 80%. I would not give it any more because I feel like any more than that would be too
pretentious.
Yeah. And 80 I feel like is already kind of pretentious. But I feel like just for the sake of what we're doing thus far for this podcast,
right.
Any further rating below that, it wouldn't make any sense. So
I think not to copy you. I think 80 is a very fair.
Because the movie was artistically inclined enough for us because we're just so good. No, I feel honestly, it's one of those things we watch back and it's like, holy shit, we put this together. Holy crap, like
I think. Yeah,
we got some beautiful shots in there. Granted, there are, don't get me wrong, there are the issues with the film. There's certain scenes that move too quick. There's certain scenes that kind of pan from one to the other. Yeah. But the amount of work that we put into minimally to what we got out of it maximally, which I don't even know if it's a word, but it's going to be
for
now.
Here it is. Yeah.
I'm just thinking back to like just a couple of scenes. The scene where he's talking to the priest was one of the it was one of those we ran into a brick wall and we didn't know what to fucking do.
How did I overlook that? So can I tell?
Absolutely.
Can I lead it up? No. I want you to finish.
I was leading you right into that, man.
So Damien's basement is vacant. It's still your brother has some shit down there now, but
it's rented now. It bounces around. Yeah, my mom kind of at the time when we filmed it was
empty.
Though. Yeah.
So it was completely.
I did during the vacancy times. I did some shrooms there, and I
off the record, on the record.
No, it's all on record now. Anybody got shrooms? Just hit my PO box.
I would love. I mean, right now the perfect day for weed, but
oh man, all right, keep it down. Shout out to essential workers.
So Damien's basement was empty at the time. It wasn't being occupied. So
one thing that we constantly took advantage of anytime my mom had any open space in my in the house I used to live at, we would be like, all right, this is fair game for us to film anything at.
Yeah,
nobody's there, nobody's renting it, nobody's whatever. We would use it. So
100%, and we did, and so I guess we did write a little bit of a script for this, and we did say like, okay, so your character's in a confessional booth. How the fuck we're gonna pull this off?
Right, and it was one of those things where we hit like a weird sort of brainstorm, like what the fuck do we do? And my mom is constantly like redoing parts of the house to like keep it modern to an extent, I guess, or retiling this or putting on different kind of blocks for the wall. And my mom had this like not old, but like this sort of like coppery panel, right? Mm-hmm. So she had this coppery panel that had these sort of diamond shapes in it. And I looked at Tom, I'm like, well, what if we just cut out the little diamonds and that's the opening opposite side of the confessionals? Let me just run this by my mom. If she doesn't need them, they're ours to use.
And I want to add that I had no idea when you presented that to me. I couldn't see it.
No, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then, but at that point we had nothing. So I was like, okay, obviously you saw something that you think will work. And I was like, sure, ask your mom. I was like,
I'll be honest, okay. I was drawing at straws. I'm like, fuck, if we could figure out a way to show it,
sure,
let's try it. So I didn't know if it would work, but I was just like, fuck it. At this point, we have nothing, so let's
try.
As the Foo Fighters song is, something from nothing. Let's fucking do it.
And you asked your mom, she said, go ahead. And
yep.
As soon as we started cutting the holes and then we put it in as a divider, it was like, it's probably one of the most ingenious. I tip my hat to you because it's probably one of the most ingenious things that we ever used in one of our films.
Yeah.
Because for those who watched it before, if anybody whoever's listening to it that may have seen that movie, you wouldn't know. I mean, I had not only did Taylor, I had other friends, I had family members who watched it, who said, how the fuck did you get into a confessional booth?
Yeah, like it was bad enough that we got into a church. They thought that this was also filmed in the church.
They thought they let you shoot that while you were in the church. It was one of the exact dialogues and questions I would get.
Yep.
And I would explain, no, and I would say Damien his mom had this backsplash thing, and we cut it out and that's what they use. And they go, that it looks just like a confessional booth.
No, I mean all we did was we didn't do like an extreme close up, but we did like a sort of close up.
Yeah.
A close up to sort of, suspend disbelief, and it was just enough space that it made it seem like it was legit.
And we had one light over your head, and it was just dark enough where you kind of just see that and just hit everything you needed to, and then the mask, and then so you get to see the sort of demon. and the mask was from
Which,
the
by
fucking
the
Dollar
way,
Tree.
this is where I refute what you said before, where you say you're not that good of a cameraman. That shot was fucking great because you saw just enough peek through through the little fucking diamond hole. It was scary. It was creepy and that mask was like garbage, but it looked creepy on.
It looks creepy on
shit.
camera.
Yeah,
that's probably one of the best purchases ever for $1 fucking.
Yep.
It's and Damien's not no exaggeration. It's probably one of the most garbage piece of shits I've ever seen.
It literally won't even conform to your face.
No, and it literally it smelled like so much of chemicals, and it looked like it got mangled in a machine, and it was supposed to be like a witch, but it ended up being nothing. And so we were like, this is perfect. We could do something with this.
Bingo.
And lo and behold, on camera, it looks so fucking. It looks creepy. It's totally creepy.
Anyways, go
ahead.
As we were talking about before, we were discussing "Hallowed Be Thy Name." It's funny because I think the whole time we were talking about Hallowed, I think we just referred to it as Hallowed, but the full title of the film is what?
Hallowed Be Thy Name. Which is too much to say. So Hallowed is good by itself.
I don't know. I was always very enjoying of the excessive title because it gave it a little more oomph of creepiness. Although
Hallowed be thy name, don't be a menace in society while sipping drink.
We improv as fuck with the resources that we had.
Yeah.
And we put together something that we were both really appreciative of. We were just like, holy shit, this actually looks really impressive. So
we move on to I don't know if it'll be the last one, but there's a movie then we came out a couple of years later called Eclipse. And Eclipse was our callback to comedy, horror. Let's use horror loosely, but mostly comedy. It was the last film that I did on my laptop, my poor laptop that held on for over a decade.
God rest its soul.
Yeah, it was a very good laptop. I got to say, it worked through a lot of movies and just a lot of porn and a lot of things. She was a trooper, but
it's funny how much these laptops hold on through porn. You know?
Oh my God! It would burn my lap, but it was she did what she had to do.
It's like I finished, but I'm also sterilized. Perfect.
Always medium rare. Yeah. But she she got that's the smell of my leg.
This is an ASM of me roasting my thighs.
Okay, here we go. Ouch, that really hurts. So do you want to give I'm going to throw a synopsis out to you. No, I'm going to throw it to you.
Okay.
I'm throwing the torch to you to do a synopsis on Eclipse.
Okay. Eclipse is a film about things that occur. Okay. So, Eclipse is a film where friends are bored and look for a refuge in a game of hide and seek. Hide and seek doesn't turn out as planned, and the consequences are deadly.
Yep, pretty much. Yep, yeah. That nails it. So, Eclipse was supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
About a guy who's going through some paranoia because he can't sleep or whatever it was. And our first scene that we ever shot for it was
fuck yeah, that's right.
Was you on the beach, and there was a scene where you're sleeping but also you're playing the monster creature demon thing.
Yeah, right.
Where you're like in the distance. Mm-hmm.
By the way, that was a reprise of The Mask
that's correct.
Hallowed Be Thy Name.
So if anyone who's interested, check out Hallowed Be Thy Name first, then check out Eclipse, and then you'll get a good idea of what The Mask looks like in its untouched form, if you want to say. So while we were trying to shoot that scene, which we did shoot the scene,
yeah,
but it ended up turning into a comedy because we realized that we weren't going to get anything good out of this.
Yeah, we as we've done before, we hit a brick wall and we're just like, where the fuck are we going to go from this scene to the next scene? What's going to happen from this to then? We were just kind of filming filler essentially.
Yeah.
So we're filming a guy sitting on a plank, using brush as a blanket, and then him seeing some weird shit. So we're like, but it was funny too because we reviewed the footage and like this shit's pretty funny, but like where do we go from here? So
yeah.
the middle ground was, all right, we'll salvage it and we'll save it for something else. But what is the something else?
And before we decide, before we came back to continue on with the podcast, Damien was saying to me, he was like, there's no good scenes that we've done that I was like, wow, this doesn't really need to be cut. And that is my only exception. I think in Eclipse, the beginning of that scene of where you're on the beach, I feel like if that could have been cut down probably good 30 seconds, it would have moved a little quick, because there's a point to it where it just drags. Yeah. But it's still a funny, because the reason why it makes it funny is Damien has a jumper suit on, like Michael Myers, and he opens up his zipper, he exposes his chest. And
funny enough, I think my nieces watched it recently with my other cousins. And you know what they asked? Is that fur on your chest?
Did you tell them that was you, or they figured that out?
They figured it out.
They figured it out.
Yeah, they did.
And
I was like, no, it's not fur. Jesus fucking Christ.
So Damien, how do we salvage that clip? What do we do?
I think we salvaged it in the most unique way possible, because it became this long, dragged out scene that worked perfectly for a board set of, what was it? It was three people? 4 people? It was Taylor.
Four people.
Okay, yeah, it was 4 people in total, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I wasn't counting
Taylor,
myself.
my brother, you, and your brother.
Yes, so 4 people watching TV and bored out of their fucking mind, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
That was the shit they were watching, and it came on. It ended with no explanation, and even with their stupid credit roll, which was just a tie back to a bunch of our other films.
Yes.
But it was a perfect segue into the new movie that we decided to put together instead.
Yep.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. And so, not to draw it on any longer, but Eclipse was one of those movies. It was rare because it was one of those movies where we did it pretty fast, but we knew exactly what to do.
Yes.
There was like zero complicated. There was like no issues. There was like, oh, what do we do here?
There was only one minor issue, and it was an issue that we didn't even fucking give a shit about at that point. But the only issue we dealt with was lighting.
Oh, you're right. 100%.
Because we had filmed for, I don't remember what time we started filming.
So we filmed the night before because we were going to do a manhunt movie, like the hide and seek at night. But we decided it's too dark, it's not worth it. Why don't we just shoot? And it was cold, so we're like, why don't we just shoot the next day? Mm-hmm. So we shot the first scene at night, and then the next day we all met up and we shot during the day.
Yes.
The problem though is, because it took, as filming takes a while, it took really long to get everything we had to get to while it was still sunny out. Literally, a scene went from sunny to like it just complete fucking darkness.
Literally, it cuts from one color in the sky to the next. But I think that the reason that happened is because we put a lot of effort into the bloodiest scene, the scene where Bessie came into to greatness, and once again
Debbie.
Oh,
Debbie, don't let her hear you.
But it was
totally worth
fucking amazing, and Debbie was
full force.
Was awesome.
If there was a moment where we really used the shit out of that fire extinguisher, it was there. I mean, we really that's probably one of the bloodiest. Bloody, and when someone says, "Oh, it's really bloody," you think it's like super visceral, but in this case, it's like super over the top.
Yeah, it was just blood kept flowing.
Yeah.
It was me looking evil with blood pouring down from my face. It was great.
But it's fucking funny.
Oh yeah, that scene cracks me up every time.
So, 1-all review.
See, I hit that one in the level of like the movie Dead Alive. So I think I'd go as far as like 85%. I feel like 85 might be a little generous, but I'm gonna stick my ground and stick with 85% there. Yeah.
Okay. I would give it. Yeah, I would have given it 80.
80? Okay. I was thinking 80, but I was thinking 85 just because,
So we just say 82.
82. Split the difference. I like it.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And one of the most magical things that's ever happened, and I'm surprised we didn't tap on this sooner.
Yeah.
One of the most magical things that ever happened was Damien and I were talking.
Was it pulling a gun out of my crotch and shooting my brother?
That was pretty magical. Yeah. But it was, we had edited. I brought it over to Damien's house. We were going through everything and trying to figure out, because we were still editing it. My computer crapped out, so I was only able to get to some of it. And then so I brought it by Damien, which was the happiest thing, probably the best thing that happened, because we found more moments and better moments while we were editing together. And we couldn't find the right music. So Damien suggested, why don't we just fucking make our own music? We'll make like an album. And we sat there with your brother.
We've never looked back since, too, by the way.
With a fucking iPhone headphone plugged into your phone, literally just recording lyrics to the beats you were playing on your GarageBand. And then we just incorporated everything, and we came up with, hands down, the catchiest, fucking most annoying music I think we ever came up with. It's it's hard to leave your head.
That I think honestly that 90% of that movie is music.
100%. I think that's what makes that movie so funny. It's the music.
I'm already thinking of the first scene. It's like, why don't we play a game of hide and seek? And it just flows into music of him singing, and it's just like a slow down, like not montage, but a slow down scene of just cutting from everybody at the table.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Honestly, and I gotta say, Kedron's work in this one was probably on point.
So, okay, now that brings me to my next one. So, Kedron, as many know who don't know, that's Damien's brother. So, Ked has been working with us on and off for as long as possibly he can, because he was a baby when we were asked him to come aboard. But
yeah, Damien, not only that, it was when we were initially filming from the jump, it was Kedron going, "No, I won't make any noise. I'm not gonna like it's like Kedron. It's a closed set, motherfucker."
Yeah,
and it's like I won't. I promise I won't make any background noise. And then he would just start making obnoxious noise. So we were like, but he was a little kid back then.
Yeah.
So now he makes a lot less obnoxious noise.
He just he's Kedron. He's become more of a he's a critique. He should be a producer.
Oh, absolutely.
So we haven't done a movie with him in a while, and I guess, Eclipse would have been the one movie we did with him after such a stretch of time, and that was when I first moved into the apartment, which we're talking now 2016.
Right.
So then, fast forward now, we go and do a movie called Devil's Day Off, and So here was our goal. Our goal was to do a trilogy of films.
I was just going to say, I think we were aiming for a trilogy, and it was pretty much going to be like a role switch for each of us.
Correct.
Everybody had their directorial notions for each film, but then this one would be written by that one, this one would be written by that one, and then we'd sort of swap who would be behind what, who would be acting what.
Yeah.
But then, as always, when things weren't sort of falling into place right, we kind of took liberties and started swapping things around. I know Kedron, when he was talking about Devil's Day Off initially, he wanted it to be very serious and very dark.
Yeah. And
then when we started rolling and running, it just started getting more and more ridiculous and funny. And he was just like, "All right, fuck it, let's just go with this. This seems better, and this will have more of a reaction anyway."
If your brother was a pilot, and we were just passengers, your brother would literally get out of the cockpit and go ahead, fly. I don't care anymore.
Attention passengers, I don't give a shit anymore. We'll figure it out. Let's just, fuck it. I got a parachute. I'm going to jump off here, but you guys know how to fly, right? Okay, cool.
And I don't blame him because we kind of did strong arm into doing that movie.
We kind of did, yeah.
But it was also, your brother froze up a little bit because, I guess regardless, it was only 3 people. It's the smallest. It's beyond a skeleton crew. It's like one elbow crew. Yeah. But, your brother, he was nervous. He didn't know how to, he wasn't sure how to direct. He wasn't sure what he really wanted. So we were helping him along the way.
Yeah.
But again, it turned into this thing where I think hands down, it's probably one of the things we've done that I swear to God, if you put it on loop, I would sit down and watch it for an hour.
I wouldn't mind watching it on loop.
It's
so quick.
Yeah,
it is probably one of our. I don't know if that one's shorter or Eclipse is shorter.
No, Devil's Day Off is shorter.
Devil's Day Off is shorter. So yeah. It moves so quick. There's so many little funny gem moments. And granted, it's such a silly, stupid little thing, but it's like it just manages to catch your attention and move, and then it's over.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Devil's Day Off. You're gonna probably be surprised by my Rotten Tomatoes review, but go ahead. What would you If you had to give it a synopsis,
No, you go.
you want me to
ahead.
synopsis
Yeah,
it? Okay.
No, I meant you give your Rotten Tomatoes review.
The one review with the
Yeah,
score.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So my review of my 1-all review for Rotten Tomatoes for Devil's Day Off is, although over the top silly and not to be taken at any point seriously, Devil's Day Off has enough charm to make it something worth watching many times over.
All right. I like it.
And I 100% would give it a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
100%.
90.
Because it's such a simple...
Yeah.
The thing with Devil's Day Off is such a simple story.
Right. There's no intricate thinking. There's no layers. There's nothing that's like, oh, well, that happened because of this. It just kind of point A, point B, point C.
Yep.
Fuck. That's okay. It's over. That's great.
And it's got every element of things we've been working on. So it's got the music that we did. It's got and then you started editing. This is when you started like really
true.
flexing the muscles with editing. The timing, everything, pacing got better. Your brother was funny in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were funny in it, but your brother really was like he was like a showstopper in that movie.
He stole the show, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'll go back and say it one more time. Like it's such a simple, silly movie that moves so quick that you cannot. There's nothing else you could do, but just sit there, just laugh, enjoy it, because there's a good moment where it's a movie that I am more than happy to watch once a year on Halloween, every year until I as long as I'm alive.
Absolutely.
I just there's something about that stupid fucking movie I like. I don't know. It's the same thing we do with Traffic Dead. I don't know what it is, but it's just because it's just I don't know. I'm gonna shut up now, but 90. I'm fully back in that.
90. I'll take it. I think 90 is a pretty good score. I would probably knock it down just to 85.
85? Okay.
I would say but it's tough because I wouldn't say it's top. I gave Eclipse 85, right?
Yeah.
So no, okay. I think I feel like they sort of walk on common ground to an extent.
So 85.
I definitely like Devil's Day Off a little bit better, but I think they operate in the same sort of critical universe.
Okay.
So 85 is probably where I'd
85.
land on.
Okay, so that lands us 87.
87% is a solid rank in there. Boom.
So, we're coming to the end now, and then we have 2 more movies left. So along the way,
I'm like thinking, what other movies we got?
we have 2. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's right.
I know one, but the other one I'm drawing a blank on.
You'll get it. I know.
Okay.
I know which one you're blanking on.
As soon as you say it, I'm gonna go, oh yeah, that one.
We've been shooting on a Nikon D5200 camera. Damien, I have a 5300. Damien had a 5200,
which just conked down on me.
Did it really?
I mean, it's doing that same 10-minute bullshit. So if I want to film for more than 10 minutes, I'm fucked.
You should probably just buy a camera.
Yeah,
that's probably should be the next investment.
That's what I'm thinking. It's upon the.
They're so cheap. They're really cheap now.
Yeah.
So we were shooting on a Nikon, and one of the biggest downfalls were, it sucks in low light. It's DSLR. It doesn't. I mean, it's great to import and footage and stuff because it's super fast and convenient. But I don't know. We were just getting. Me personally, I was just getting to a point where I was like, I just wish we had something a little more better in terms of look and quality.
Right.
I think we deserved it. We've been doing this for so long. So I went on. I was working on a shoot one time, and I met a camera guy. And long story short, he mentioned this camera. I started doing research for it, and I love the quality of it so much that I decided, fuck it, let me see if I can find it. And it became a hunt for weeks. Finally got it. It's called a digital Bolex. It basically it's meant to mimic 16 millimeter film. And for the most part, between the colors and everything, it does a pretty good job. It still has a digital look, but it's pretty good. But it was more trouble than it was worth. But so one of our first things we did on it, this was like our first so this is Card Game Under the Bridge, but now we're over 10 years later, and we go and do a movie strictly written by Damien called Ploys of Plunder.
Right. Oh, how did I overlook Ploys of Plunder? I completely forgot about Ploys of Plunder. Ploys of Plunder was a lot of fun because it was in the height of the hypersensitive wave of everybody on social media bitching and moaning about spoilers.
Yep.
And what is the What is the main prevention of spoilers? Would you say, Tom?
The main prevention of spoilers.
What would if you had a film coming out, and what would you take as precaution to prevent yourself?
Oh, just not talk to those people.
Well, that's one, yes, absolutely. But in terms of social media, people get so wound up about it. All you got to do is get yourself the fuck off of social media.
Of course, yeah.
And you won't see spoilers.
Yeah.
Or yeah, exactly. Unfollow people or whatever the fuck. But people get so up in arms about it. And then the gears, like just that idea alone, the gears started rolling in my head. It's like, wait a minute. Okay. So people don't like spoilers. What happens when you get spoilers? You get really pissed off. What if somebody gets so pissed off they decide to go on a fucking murderous rampage when they get spoilers? And back to it being the height of spoiler nation. It was the time when Game of Thrones was finalizing their last season.
Yeah.
So all these spoilers were floating around and people like to live post. And I believe Infinity War had just come out. Or was it Endgame? It was one or the other.
One or the other, yeah.
It was one of the Avengers.
Because that was last year.
Yeah. So it was in the height of that, so my brain started rolling on that, and I was like, all right, let me just write this shit real quick, put it together, and then let's see if we could film it, put it together. And
yeah,
I gotta say, it came out in terms of expectations from paper to final copy. I'd say it's probably the most accurate in terms of that for me.
Okay.
And I feel like exactly what we were looking for, we were able to achieve, give or take a few scenes and a little, as per usual, the hiccups that we kind of run into in terms of, expansion. I think one thing that we've learned, and this film kind of taught me that too, is we've done this from day one, like where we write a bigger movie than what we are capable of doing. So we'll write a movie for 12 people, and we only have access to 3.
If that.
We write a movie where we're going to have 16 locations, we have access to 2, and stuff like that. So this one, I tried to bog it down as much as I could, and even still, we sort of had to like condense on the fly, but we still managed to come out alive and come out all right. So.
And we only had one day.
And we only had one day.
And not only one full day, we had half a day, a few hours in it because we were juggling 2 people's work schedules. One person, it bled into his actual start of work. Oh, yeah. And he was he was a trooper about it, but
he was like, I mean, I do have to go to work now, but I could finish the scene, and that's true acting, man.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't good, but but all hats to him, but that's what we were dealing with. And also it was a new camera, so I was dealing with fucking trying to get the monitor correct, which I finally figured out. But
nice, yeah, I remember.
And getting Debbie involved and taking time to do that because we had to fill that up.
I do remember now. Debbie was being a little bit of a problem because we did a couple tests.
We didn't tighten it enough.
Yes, we filled her up and we had her good to go, but the pressure was like almost
it was
good
leaking.
Enough.
Yeah,
but the air was leaking out, and then it wasn't tight enough because the air was leaking out. So,
but once Debbie was tight, holy mother of God, she was spurting.
Yep.
Good old Debbie. The funny thing about Ploys of Plunder was so every movie we kind of expand onto something. So I guess Eclipse was the first time we did our own music.
Yeah.
I guess Devil's Day Off we were just kind of Devil's Day Off you really edited that. That was all you on editing.
Right.
And then this movie, not only did you write and direct it, but also this is the first time we tried to submit it.
Oh yeah, we did.
We got denied everywhere.
we got
whatever.
Shut the fuck down,
which was fine.
Right. But it was all right.
It was all right. We knew. I think I can say this for both of us. I think we knew that it wasn't festival worthy, but it was enough confidence for us to be like, you know what, fuck it, let's try it. And that's the first time we've felt that way of all these little films that we've done, and it just shows for me at least a progression of how serious we're trying to take, even though these movies are still saying silly, because I think that's just our we have a style.
Yeah.
Like directors have certain styles. You're expecting a certain type of film. And
absolutely. And
I think for us, it's, you got to expect some sort of over-the-top-ish stuff. Yeah. And also, this was not the first time that Damien was trying to shoot something. We did try the cab movie, just
that's
just
right.
a tip.
No tip.
No tip, sorry. Just a tip.
Yes, just the tip.
Yeah. No tip, and I think you ran into editing issues with that, right?
Yeah, it was. I sent you a rough cut, and it was pretty much from beginning to end, and it just didn't. It didn't seem to click. Like I remember watching it over. I'm like, I'm not too sold on it, but I'll send it to you. You let me know what you think, and you pretty much agreed with me.
There was it was all over the place, but yeah. I ended up, for whatever reason, I liked it. There was something there, maybe because we also worked on it, but I did.
Right.
I felt that the story itself had, I don't know. It was like, I mean, it's Taxi Driver. It was like,
Yeah.
it had this urban New York raw storytelling feel to it, and the again, this brings us back to the limitations.
Yeah.
Of like, we don't have a green screen.
No,
and
we lost certain things from it in the process. Not lost physically, but like certain things as we filmed because we didn't have the resources. It's like, that came out crappier than we intended, and that didn't really emphasize what we wanted to emphasize. So, but we did say that we will try to refilm that one and more than likely remove ourselves further from it in terms of like acting and whatnot, but more be behind the scenes just to provide it with more magic on our side of it at least. Yeah. So get a cab driver that's not me trying to do 3 accents at the same time.
I know.
And probably more than likely we'll keep Kedron in some capacity as per usual.
Yeah, Kedron was fine in that.
No, Kedron, surprisingly, once again, Kedron was pretty decent in that one. So
I think you tried to get me to play a cab driver.
Yeah, and you were like, fuck that.
I hate being in front of camera.
And I'm like 50-50. I'm like, I'll do it if I have to. All right. No Tip is in my Google Drive still. I never removed it after I sent it to you. It's just floating around in there. The script and the rough cut. So, if anybody wants the link, it'll be gone in 24 hours. Anyways, back to Ploys of Plunder.
Right.
I think in terms of, before we go into our personal critical review, I think the main critique that I got from people was the credits at the beginning were weird because it goes from one kind of thing to like weird sounding music with a interesting title credit. And that was pretty much the main critique that people kind of focused on. But for the most part, it got a pretty good response. At least to my understanding. I didn't really...
No one really... Yeah, everyone would seem to be same consensus.
Yeah.
They laughed.
They laughed, they cried,
again,
it's a
simple story.
Yeah.
There was like nothing complicated. It was pretty
There wasn't much to fuck up. It was pretty much you spoiled something for a crazy guy. The crazy guy gets mad and kills people.
That's it.
And then
he's in a therapy session.
And then the one guy that didn't want to step on any toes, he ends up hanging out with the crazy dude for the sake of his own life. That's pretty much the movie.
Yeah. And that originally started as a you were getting a back massage. And I couldn't get.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And the room you were trying to film in was just super cramped. I couldn't get a good angle.
The room was cramped. The lighting was terrible. There were like little corners of spiders and shit, so that wasn't working out.
And so we just changed it to. We figured out another room, and that's what it ended up being. But what would you Rotten Tomatoes score it?
Rotten Tomatoes score, man. That's it's hard because of wearing so many hats for it. I'm trying not to be biased and give it such a great score. But final product all in, I'd probably say maybe 92%.
Wow.
I want to go on
over Devil's Day Off.
I would say in terms of professionalism, it's a little more on point.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah. Final answer, Regis, 92%.
Okay. I would give it...
And by all means, feel free to refute and lower that upper at whatever you feel, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it a 92.
Okay, understood.
I would give it...
Piece of shit.
See, now you don't want me to answer. I don't want to answer.
Fucking what you got.
I would probably give probably like between 35 to 50.
35 to 50?
Your fucking face. It's priceless. No, I would give it I would probably give it a 75.
Yeah, this is me disconnecting the mics. Get the fuck out, Tom. 75? Okay.
Yeah, for next to the mics to get some feedback. Yeah, 75.
Can you hear this now? You're deaf, bitch.
Yeah, 75. A lot of that has to do with... The problem is just a lot have to do with me. I get in my head because I don't particularly... Again, it's the first time I had the camera. I didn't have a tripod back then. It was all
That's true. It was beta. I mean...
Yeah, I can't watch that movie without me being like, oh, man, really? But
it's funny because I feel like every rating we've done thus far, I've progressively just upped the score.
No, listen, if you feel it's a 92... Look, Devil's Day Off wasn't even our project.
That's true.
That's your brother's project. And I gave it the highest score. And that's...
Yeah.
So if you feel 92, for me, 75... I'm not saying it's a bad movie whatsoever. It's leaps and bounds better than fucking Traffic Dead Ahead.
Whoa, watch your mouth. Traffic Dead Ahead is Criterion.
But,
they wouldn't put it in Criterion for nothing,
That's why it's blurring and chops off really quick at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dash cams and all.
Yeah, I give it 75.
All right.
75.
I'll allow it.
I'm not gonna fucking.
So I from 92 to 75, it would probably be around 83, 82, 83.
82, 83.
I'd say 83 cumulative is pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd say
100%.
I'd say that's more of what
Would say
that's an acceptable range, because I was thinking about it now and I remember some of the issues I had with editing and cutting and colorization. I was like, this shit's out of my league. And it's one of those things, as being on the side of editing, when you show it to somebody else, you notice it, and then it's sort of a saving grace when they don't notice it, but when it's that bad and somebody else notices. It's like, I had my cousins and stuff asking me, it's like, why are you wearing lipstick in this scene?
Yeah.
I'm not wearing lipstick, you asshole. It's just bad coloring and bad lighting, all right?
Yeah.
No, but you're wearing lipstick. You're a girl. And then I started crying and I ran out of the room.
And
My nieces are bullies.
We had 2 like really cheap LED lights.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Now I have 4 of them.
yeah, 4 of them now.
You know,
Oh, well, we do. I have 3.
I think we have total 4, right?
No, we have 5 now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I got 3 last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
You have 2 now, so now we have enough to. They're all cheap Chinese things, but we'll make something
Now we
work.
could light a small closet.
Exactly.
No, honestly, they came in clutch for certain scenes, because some
Certain
scenes
scenes,
the lighting was difficult and it came in clutch. If you flash back to, as we were talking about Hallowed Be Thy Name, one of the issues we ran into was lighting.
Yep.
When we were shooting a scene in Kedron's room, and if we had these lights in there, we could have set up some really cool lighting shots.
However, though, with the minimal lighting that we had in that room,
Yeah.
It worked to our favor
Oh, absolutely.
because we barely could see, the things we didn't want people to see right away.
However, due to the modern magic of technology, I've rewatched the Hallowed Be Thy Name scene, the same scene in question that you're talking about,
I know.
and you can see it all. You can see, and back in the day when we first uploaded it, you don't
don't see
perfectly
shit.
seen. You just see like a figure appear out of nowhere.
Yep.
And now it's like you see a figure standing there and start moving. It's like, fuck. So,
Which in its own is creepy, I guess.
yeah, no, it's still like, what the fuck is this guy standing and creeping over me? But still.
But not the same effect. And for those who are interested in knowing what the fuck we're talking about, in the movie, it's the scene where Damien is sleeping in his bed. That's it.
That's
And
pretty much.
I would advise watching it on your phone. I don't usually would ever do that for a movie,
Right.
but on your phone you don't get that effect. It's when you put on a bigger screen.
Watch
Damien's
it
100%
on the
correct.
smallest. If you could watch it on like a 1994
Fucking bubble TV.
iPod,
Yeah.
or street. Get a way to hook it up with like a red and white input with
Yeah.
a video cable.
What do you call those?
RGB.
Yeah.
Yeah, hook it up with an RGB cable to old TV that's not even in high definition, and you probably got the best
And then
quality to
you're
watch on.
totally fine.
Yeah.
So our last movie, this is the last thing we've done, is a great
Good
deal.
A great,
the fuck it's called.
a great deal.
Yeah. This was a movie that Damien, quote unquote, didn't act in this time. He played. Damien was more behind the scenes.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, Damien didn't want to be in this one. He wanted to be. I guess you wanted to be more behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I was absolutely on board to do whatever part I could, so long as it wasn't acting. That's how. It's like, I'll hold the camera, I will light, I will track, I will guide actors. I don't care. I don't want to be acting in it. I'm totally fine with not doing that.
And your wish was my command.
Boom.
We got a friend of mine from college who does theater, and he agreed to act in it. So that one was tricky because we shot that over 3 nights. That was rough.
That was probably, of all the scheduling nightmares we had, that was probably the scheduling nightmare that we've ever, like the worst one we ever had to deal with.
Tough.
However, given our sort of, I guess, learning curve that we've accomplished throughout time, we worked with what we had,
100%.
So whatever time we had to deal with, and whatever cuts and whatever days we had it so intricately planned, and we had it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that it was very minimally invasive given our scheduling chaos.
I mean, we're talking like Damien and I would be getting home from work, and I'd be like, all right, guys, let's meet up at 8:39.
Yeah.
And and these guys were totally on board to go into like 2, 3, whatever it was. I was like, nah, I was not going to make that happen. Even if I was off the next day.
Right.
I was like, we're going to meet up. We'll go into 11. So we shot for like 2 hours. Sometimes I try to make it less than that, so I wasn't killing anybody. And then that's what we did. I mean, we basically shot a scene a night for the most part.
Pretty much.
And that took a whole year because I was supposed to be edited. It was supposed to be edited by someone. It got pushed back. Damien was gonna edit, and then Ploys of Plunder came in because that's what happened.
Right.
Ploys of Plunder came
that's
in.
right. I had that one. I had that one ready to get edited, and then I just I didn't have the motivation to do it, as we've probably talked about before. Procrastination kicked in full force.
Yeah.
And then Ploys of Plunder came along, and I just started getting crazy with like trying out new shit and all that crap. And I was like, I'll get back to that one after this one, and then I never revisited. Which thank God Tom picked it back up, because I was like, maybe I will. And then
I was being asked by our actor, if that movie was ever going to be edited, and I was like, no. And the reason was because
nope.
The camera's file system, for those who are familiar with camera exports, whatever, it's DNG files, so they're really big and large. So when I import into my like 2015 iMac, it would take forever. And at one point I was editing, I was making progress, and then DaVinci Resolve crashed on me, which didn't save the progress I was doing, and I had to go back, and I was like, fuck this. And then I stopped. And then almost I want to say a year later, but it was almost a half a year later, I have a laptop I was able to get Resolve working on there, and I imported the footage, and lo and behold, everything worked. It took a little time, but sat on my bed for like 3-4 days, and I chopped the shit away because I already knew I was ready, kind of going back to where I was. And yeah, in a matter of no time, a great deal was finished. Now, nowhere near perfect. It has a lot of text animation that I'm not good at, and I wish I could fix that up. I don't want to go back.
I will tell you this, though, in terms of the time frame that you were like telling me, hey, I started editing it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you were texting me that it was like you had a rough cut for me. I was like, holy shit. So you kind of jumped all in at a certain point. I don't know if there's some kind of something that encouraged you, that once you started cutting it and you got the vision back for where you wanted to put it together. I felt that kind of occurred for you.
Well, once the my laptop was able to control it, and handle it, I knew that
because I taming a goddamn horse.
Yeah, exactly. Because I hate editing on a computer desk. If I have to, I get so bored. But something about laying in bed, editing in my own pace, I'm very comfortable.
I think I need to adapt that technique because just quick side note, I was editing the previous podcast that we were working on, or potential one, and the whole process was just my back in pain, and then me just getting tired of hearing myself talk. So I think if I'm in a better setting and sitting with a laptop on my lap, literally, it might be a little easier to do,
100%. I found that anything I've edited while laying down on the computer, laying down in bed, I actually focus more just because I'm in more of a comfort level.
That makes sense.
And yeah, so once I found the computer was able to handle it, I just said, fuck this, let's get it going. And I finished it, and now it's done.
So synopsis would be pretty much a guy looking to expand his cabinetry, or
a guy gets a cheap guy gets a great deal on a desk.
Yes,
and makes an appointment to meet up with the Craigslist seller.
Looking to pay little, he ends up getting more than he bargained for.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I feel like all these slogans were probably used in the 80s, and they're just recycled from
100%.
But I love it. I feel like they just work perfectly. So, what would you give that one in terms of a score?
A great deal. I probably would give somewhere in the realm of. I'd probably give it a 68 or a 70.
68 or 70?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying not to give every movie the same score because I was sort of
whatever comes to mind first. Don't overthink it.
I was thinking about 80, but I think I might let's see. I'm trying to do a mini critique in my head of it. Yeah, I think I'd stand my ground on 80%. 80% is pretty good because I thought it looked really well. The final product in terms of what we put together, what we shot, and what we finally saw was good. I thought it was silly enough and serious enough, and there was a good balance between the two. So yeah, I'd say 80.
I think the most challenging part of that movie, and which became one of my favorite, was the stuff that we shot at night at his wife's house.
Yeah.
George's house. George's wife's wife's house, parents' house, whatever. I didn't know what that was going to be. Because it was a great space. It was empty.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to make of it. We didn't have that much time, or I was giving myself very little time.
Right.
And then when I tried to edit it, and that was when I realized the iMac crashed, which was, I was at that scene, and I was like, how the fuck am I going to cut this? And I lost all motivation for it.
Right.
And then I go back to edit it, and it ended up becoming one of my favorite because I feel like the build up to whatever the scene ends up ending with works. And it ends up being like, what's his name? John. Forget it. His name is John. John is
John John the third.
John has some funny moments there, and and it just works. That whole scene works. And I was really proud of that because it was just one of those things. I just was like, as I was shooting, I was like, I don't know. But yeah, no. So you say 80?
Yeah.
I say 68. So 74.
Yeah, 74
That's fine.
sounds about right.
Okay.